Welcome to Unconventional. I'm your host, Bill Tessar. Unique stories from entrepreneurs that have failed, picked themselves up, been knocked down, picked themselves up again, traveled roads that few travel. It's about digging into the successes that people have found in real estate, financing, lending, and the like. Sometimes the best career paths aren't planned. They happen by accident. But what if that accident leads to a groundbreaking collision where deep legal expertise meets cutting-edge automation, where one success is the byproduct of another? Today's guest is living proof that when you understand the rules better than anyone else, you can actually rewrite them. He's taken a world defined by contracts, compliance, and regulation and turned it into one driven by innovation, efficiency, and freedom. His unique blend of legal mastery and technological vision has transformed how private lenders create, manage, and protect their deals, all through the power of smart, tailored automation. As partner at Fortra Law and CEO of Lightning Docs, he didn't just streamline the document process in private lending, he completely redefined it. And I'm thrilled to have him as our guest. Please welcome Nema, and I'm not saying his last name because from this point forward, along with Cher, Madonna, Elvis, Nema is Nema. It's Daghbandan, but it is Nema. No more. It's just Nema. Welcome. I want to toast you first to being the only person in mortgage that has one name.
Just one name.
God bless.
Cheers.
So Nema, thank you for taking the time here. You're an attorney.
So they say.
Yeah, and you know what's kind of crazy? We've known each other, I think we've known each other since I got into the BPL side of this world, which is like 2017 when I started at Civic.
That's right.
And I would tell you that I never knew you were an attorney. I always thought you guys had a marketing company because you were so darn good at everything you did with marketing, which is actually an unbelievable mousetrap when you think about it, to get people to do what you are actually an expert doing.
Yeah.
So how long have you been an attorney?
Since 2010.
2010. And you came out, did you always want to be an attorney?
No. So my brother's 5 years older than me.
Okay.
My brother's an attorney. And I just wanted to do whatever he was doing, right? I was the little brother catching up to his big brother, right? He went to UCI for undergrad. I went to UCI for undergrad. He went to law school. He's much smarter than me, so he went to USC. I did not go to USC. They did not let me into USC.
Okay, all right.
But I really wanted to chase him, and that was kind of my story there. And I was also, you know, my wife jokes about this today, which was, you know, up to the age of 25, I can, you know, probably not the most useful person, and chose to have, you know, definitely a sideways story to get there.
But did you know your wife when you were that age?
No, thank goodness, because we would have never been able to get married.
Okay, so good.
I met her as a first-year law student at the University of Miami, and it was the first time I really took ownership of my own life. Was in law school, funny enough.
Was she going to law school as well?
She was, yeah. She's an attorney.
She is?
Yeah.
In our space or no?
No, oh my gosh, no, you can't do that, Bill.
No, not you.
You don't mess around like that.
Yeah, okay. I appreciate that.
No, but funny enough the beginning of her career was she was actually a secured creditor attorney. And I didn't even know enough about law back then to understand that we were really playing on opposite ends of the fence, and that I was there at origination and she was there at default, and we didn't even appreciate, neither of us did, until a couple of years in our practice going, oh, you know what's kind of funny? Like these loans that I'm working on, like you kind of deal with them when the deal goes sideways. You're the attorney making sure that the lender is being taken care of. Okay. And so in a weird way, we actually served a similar space. But now she's on a much better practice. She does trust and estates work and really helps families.
Who wins those family arguments? Is that tough?
You know what's interesting for us? We really do a good job, and particularly pre-kids. We were very good at figuring out, hey, does this matter that much to me? If
early
not,
on in the relationship,
great partnership.
Took me 20 years to figure that out.
But then we had kids, and unfortunately with kids, we both felt strongly about a lot of stuff.
What is the number one thing you guys will argue about with the kids? Is it like yes mean yes, no mean no? What is it?
So it's interesting. It's really a risk paradigm, right? I underestimate risk. She overestimates risk. We will both acknowledge that fact is true.
just in terms of safety, the kids going out on the street with their bike at 7 o'clock at night type of
100%.
thing?
That's exactly the right thing. And it manifests in really big ways because we both take this in extremes, right? So she'll say is, should our kids play out in the neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
And for her, that's the extreme end of that will be our kids are going to get kidnapped, and I'm the terrible mother who could have protected my child and didn't, right?
Okay.
And I'm going, no, our kids need to do this because if not, then we're going to be having this 30-year-old who has no autonomy and is constantly looking for other people and is helpless in the world, right? So, and that's we're both looking at this in a completely incorrect way, and we're placing our extremes on the matter versus going, you know what, like there's probably this middle between that.
What is the middle of that one, out of curiosity? Your kids are how old?
8 and 10 now.
Boy, girl?
I have an older son and a younger daughter.
Okay. So do you find yourself, I know we weren't going to talk about this, but I'm always fascinated. I've raised 3 older children now and got grandkids, but do you find yourself more worried about the safety and well-being of making mistakes for the daughter or the son, or is it equal?
No, it's really interesting. My son is very much like me. And there's an expression that you're constantly parenting yourself out of your child. That is the relationship I have with my son. He is going to go on to do incredible things.
I love that.
know it to be true.
I love that.
He is going to far surpass anything I'll ever do on this earth.
Wow.
And
That's a wonderful thing to say as a father.
I'm certain of it. I'm just absolutely certain of it. At the same time,
Yes.
all the things I do not like about myself are manifested in my son. All the stubbornness, all these characteristics where I go, man, if you just get out of your way a little bit, great things are coming your way, kid.
10 years old. And what about raising a daughter? Is that?
It's so funny. I'm so blessed to have both a son and a daughter. They're so unique. They're so different. And she is just this incredible human. She's so different from everyone in our family because we have the most non-artistic, non-creative. We are all logical. I don't know which side of the brain that is, but that's where me, my wife, and my son all live. And she is this masterful artist where she can harness either side. She's mathematically inclined,
Wow.
and she will just sit there and draw these most amazing
Wow.
things. And so in a similar vein, for her, I'm going, hey, like that's a magical skill set that you have, because there are very few people that I've met in life that are both incredibly creative and also very intellectual. And,
it's one or the
and
other.
those people do really cool things.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I could raise 10 boys with the same amount of emotional pull from me as one daughter. My daughter's 30 years old, and I worry about my daughter at 30
Yeah.
the same way I did at 8. Like that never goes away. The boys, they fall down, they get, scrape up their knee, they clean it up, and they're off and running onto their next project. But like it is just different raising a daughter than a son.
Well, there's such a, it's interesting. I work with a lot of young people in my office, and it's interesting that a lot of people I think are making conscious decisions not to have children or et cetera, right? And there is such an interesting, what I've experienced for myself is a biological component of what occurs that I have no appreciation for and could not have an appreciation for, but for having children.
Yes.
And I remember the first distinct one for me was holding my son for the very first time. I hate holding babies. I'm terrified of holding babies, and I don't really like babies, right?
I love babies.
Do you love babies?
I love babies.
But I didn't. And so for the idea of having children was really weird to me. But my son came out, and I swear, Bill, I just knew that minute that I could take care of him.
Yeah,
I
that's
knew,
cool.
I held
That's
him,
really
and it was
neat.
just this wild connection. And in a similar vein for my daughter, innately protecting her is just so built into my wiring.
Yeah.
And we just have this incredible, because she's like everything we're in the magical years, right? We're in the elementary school years,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you know this.
For sure.
And so.
So 8 and 10, is that 3rd and 5th grade?
Yeah.
Yeah, third
And
and
she's,
fifth.
oh my gosh, I should know this better.
Five,
Second
six,
and fourth.
oh,
Second and fourth.
Okay, second and fourth.
And,
Okay, yeah.
and she is just like the cuddle monster.
Fun.
Right. She's just curl up, lay here, and she knows how to milk me so hard, and
Yes.
she will for the rest of her life.
You need to continue to make money because she's going to be expensive.
100%.
Yes.
100%.
So you guys, you start out, you pass, you get your law degree, and you get into law. What kind of law did you jump into right away?
So I have an interesting story in this because I go to law school from 2007 to 2010, and you may have heard there was a thing that happened during those years.
Of course.
And so for me, I was at a big law firm, a really well-known law firm, that does a lot of securitization work and stuff in our space now. And I was supposed to be a corporate securities attorney there. That's what I did my 2L summer at a really prestigious firm. And I get an offer from them, right?
Okay.
And I go to start, and my offer gets rescinded in the middle
Just
of the
because of the financial crisis.
That's right. And I grieved, right? Because my identity was tied into that. I was like, oh, I've worked really hard. I've got a big firm job. They were paying me stupid money as a second year law
There was
student.
just no business.
That's right. That's right. And I had worked with Anthony Gerasi with Gerasi Legal my first summer out of law school as a total fluke. He was playing poker with my older brother.
Wow.
And they were playing, and I told my brother, I was like, hey, I really want to come back to California. I was going to school at University of Miami. I said, I really want to come back to California. And I'll work for free. I don't care. Just like, how do I get back out there? He's playing poker with Anthony and one of his friends. And he goes, and he's talking to his friend saying, hey, my brother wants to be an intern. Like, do you guys have anything you could throw his way? And Anthony's like, hey, why don't you have him come work with me? I'll pay him. And I'm like, wait, someone's going to pay me money? Right, in California. I was elated. And that was my introduction into private lending as a first year summer.
And that is what, 2000?
It would have been the summer of 2008.
I mean, private lending like we know it today was nothing like that back in 08, 09.
Oh, Bill,
was that like Ames Home Loan to the rescue, or was that the Fremont Savings? Like
it was the most insane period of time, because I remember going here going, hey, like, this looks and feels really weird. Like, are these people loan sharks? All these businesses are kind of doing weird things. And I'm going, I don't know. That, like, it's very entrepreneurial what's happening in this little space. And this business feels pretty entrepreneurial. But this definitely doesn't feel like the traditional practice of law. That's what it did not come across at all.
So what was the suite of offerings in 2008 for you guys in that company? You were focused on originators? You were focused on investors?
So at that time, it was very litigation focused. The fallout had started to happen.
Okay.
Right? And so there was lots of business disputes. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I was like, well, just have me do anything. And I remember initially, so the funny thing is we use different terminology in California than you would use in Florida for certain aspects of litigation.
Okay.
And I remember I was talking to one of the partners at the time, and she's like, "Oh, can you just write this demur?" And I didn't know what the word was.
We had Google then. Google was in the 90s.
And so I'm like, oh yeah, I'm happy to do that. And I go and I just Google it, right? But that's how naive I was. I couldn't tell you. I mean, even this carried over. My first 3 years of practice weren't that far off from that, because the firm was in its infancy back then, right? So I was doing both Reg D. Corporate and securities work, you do PPMs, and then every single year you kind of need to renew that PPM. You need to clean it up a little bit, right? So that's a Reg D renewal type process. And so I'm doing that, but at the same time, I'm working with the other side of the house and I'm writing loan documents. And so people would ask me, oh, what kind of law do you do? And I'm like, oh yeah, I do corporate and securities real estate. And they're like, what? That's not a practice. Those are two distinct practices. But I didn't have any understanding, because I'm in a random industry, right, that has really unique clients and unique tastes. And so, oh my gosh, in hindsight, like, what a blessing, because I understand what these businesses kind of look like in inception. I have a little bit of a taste of what's happening in the litigation side of it.
Yep.
And I've got this, so I'm actually kind of understanding this full picture while not understanding any of it, because I'm just too early in my practice to have an appreciation for how are these things slotting together.
So when you were doing loan docs, were you doing them for individual transactions? Bill is loaning Johnny X amount of dollars against that property, and I'd come to you and say, will you protect me in this loan, or was it more programmatic at that time?
So more often than not, what was occurring back then is you had, some of it was mortgage funds. You had some California Reg D mortgage funds who were going to be needing loan documents. But often back then, it was really real estate brokers working with high net worth individuals. And so, and back in California, it's unique. From a regulatory climate, California has this random exception. It says, hey, you don't need to be licensed as a mortgage lender so long as there's a licensed real estate broker who's arranging the loan transaction. But better yet, you can throw up to 10 individual investors onto that transaction, right? And you can do it. And there's a securities exemption written into our real estate law that allows for it, right? And most other states in the country do not have anything that looks like this.
Okay.
So That was a really common model, which it was kind of, it looks and feels a little bit like a mortgage fund in the sense that the broker is the originator and they're really determining the decisions, right? They're really acting as the manager.
Yep.
And they just happen to be naming these individuals in the transaction. And so that's really where I cut my teeth in understanding. And the interesting thing when you think about it from a compliance perspective is it's a little bit of a different rule set you have to understand in California, which is, are you this real estate broker that's arranging that loan? Or is it a mortgage fund who's a licensed California lender making the loan? And the distinctions between the two, right? There's two actually different rule sets you have to understand between the two. And so I was actually getting this really unique experience in the background without having a clue that I was actually obtaining a very valuable skill set to a very small group of people, these private lenders.
And that went from what year to what year as you were just exploring, learning? That's 2000.
We're talking about 2010 to about 2013 at this point.
So 2013, I'm just going back in time a little bit. Okay, so we're 2012, we're kind of coming out of the financial crisis-ish, right? That was about 5-6 years.
Correct.
And the private money business is slowly starting to get a little bit of steam, not institutional steam.
Correct.
But still getting some steam. Was there a moment in that time that you go, hey, there might be a business inside of this over and above blocking and tackling deal by deal? Was there a moment where you go, I think there's an actual business here?
So the interesting thing is we saw that at the law firm. 2013 was kind of a pivotal year for us because we had to figure out for ourselves, how are we going to grow? And we had to come to a determination, and we had a meeting with the executives, and the executives at the time was really funny when you're a really small organization because you're smart, you need to build an executive
team. Who were the same cast of characters?
Same cast of characters, yeah.
All the same people.
And so, and the funny thing is, there was 8 of us that were the executives, but there's only 15 people in the entire organization. So like they would laugh like, oh, they're in their executive meeting, right?
Us 7 are going to go into the lunchroom while the other 8 go into the. I like it.
But the organization grows, and so, but at the time we had this really pivotal decision we had to make, which was, do we double down on this little thing called private lending, or do we try to grow into this big bucket of lender representation? Let's go after credit unions, banks, and all these other lenders, where does our expertise ultimately lie? And we made a really specific decision at the time to represent private lenders and to become very, very deeply enmeshed as experts in that space. And that also forced us, because at the time I've got my partner Kevin, who is on the corporate and security side. So that really forced me and him to pick a lane, right? Kevin, you're going down Reg D lane, and you're going to become the expert in writing mortgage funds and understanding that world. And I'm now only going to be doing loan documents, right? And now I need to become the Michael Jordan. I need to be the Michael Jordan of writing loan documents. Was the pathway there? Yeah. And what was really cool at the time was California started seeing yield compression right around 2013, right? Yep. Because a lot of market. So as your point is, the economy is picking up. People are more comfortable, and they're saying, whoa, there's a 12% coupon over here, and it's a first position, and it's a 60% LTV.
Like that risk.
Who wouldn't want to be in this?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And that's what these investors were now expecting. And so, but the competition's coming in, so, well, no, it's 11%, and it's going down a little bit. And so the investors are like, well, I don't know if I really want to be at that place. And they're saying, well, if you're willing to go out of state, we can continue at these 12%. So if we can go to Florida, we can go to Texas, we can go to these other markets. And I'm like, well, I'm a California attorney. Like, I don't know what to do. And they're like, well, we want to keep using you, so you have to make a choice, right? Are you going to just refer these deals out to everybody, right? Or are you going to sit here and figure out how to do this?
And you figured it out.
And so we started calling local councils saying, hey, I've got my set of documents. Can you conform these? Can you take this? I remember the first time I went to Florida, I've got a deed of trust, and I'm like, hey, I know you use mortgages over there. How can we Frankenstein my set of documents to close a loan in Florida and start learning about the state? Oh, hey, do I need to be licensed? All this, because the best part about making loans in California is it's highly regulated. So if you can understand that regulatory mindset and you start going to these other places, you're like,
almost
oh my
easy.
gosh, it's so much easier over here.
Wow.
You guys only have one regulator. If you have a regulator at all, it became much easier. And so it demystified a lot of this. And that was the expansion strategy.
What's the easiest state off the top of your head from a regulatory perspective?
There's most of the states, if you actually look at a regulatory map, only about 15 states regulate at all, right? So most of the country says, look, this is a business-to-business transaction. We're not in the business of regulating that.
Got it.
And so it's actually and we didn't have an appreciation. And the funny thing is, we actually talked to California lenders who primarily lend in California. They still don't have that appreciation. They go, oh, well, I don't want to. The reason why I don't do loans in Texas, I don't want to get licensed. I don't want to.
They don't have an idea.
Yeah.
So you say you guys all pick a lane and you get going. When did you guys decide to bring marketing into kind of the business development side of your being in being in docs, being in docs or representing
Yeah.
folks in securities is different than putting on one of the biggest conferences in the
Totally.
United States. So where was that leap?
So this is a really, it's interesting. I, as a young attorney, right, I was always really disciplined, and I was very thoughtful about learning the practice and becoming an expert. Like I was the nerd sitting in the gym. Like I'm on my elliptical and I'm reading treatises, right, because I really wanted to become a master of the subject matter. That's great, and it was very valuable, but no one knew that. Right, and so I remember going out for my first partner review. This was back in 2014. I made partner in 2015, and I remember going for my partner review in 2014. And one of the questions on the partnership application was demonstrate your expertise in the market. Talk to me about that. And I was like, well, I clearly know what I'm doing. I talk to any of our clients. They'll tell you all day long. They love me. They trust me. And he's like, yeah, that's great, but like the market, does the market know you are an expert? I'm like, well, like doesn't my work show? He's like, no, like. Does the market show that, right? And so that really started this concept of it doesn't matter. People need to have a way to trust you outside of really knowing you. They can't be your client. They have to be a prospective client, right? And so you have to be able to demonstrate your expertise. And
It's a great question, Nema. It's a great question. You could be the very best at what you do, and if the market doesn't know it, are you really?
That's right. That's right. Are people calling outside of these four walls and acknowledging that you're the expert? So are you writing articles? Are you doing webinars? What are you doing to communicate that expertise, right? We have this concept we call, do all roads lead back to you, right? If you're a new market entrant and you're trying to understand this space a little bit and they start looking into it, do they just find you everywhere? Right? Oh yeah, I watched you. Like I saw this webinar that you all hosted. Oh, I saw that you guys go to these conferences you hosted. That really started this concept of being very intentional about making sure that all roads, whether it's you're attending one of our conferences, whether it's a webinar that we're hosting, whether it's participation within an association, that all roads would inevitably lead back to us.
It's interesting, right? Because I think about our business relationship, and I think early on, we were a supporter of the conferences.
Yeah.
And I think we used some of the legal offerings that you guys brought to the marketplace in regards to licensing. We did not use docs. We used docs that was embedded, I think you reminded me, in Encompass.
That's right.
And I actually, if you would have asked me aside, hey, are you supportive of Nema and all his different businesses? I would say, I think so. Yeah, we sponsor and we get some reg stuff, but you're right, because it was all of that expertise that ultimately brought us back to you in Lightning Docs, and I think we're at least we're considered a big client of yours today, right?
Definitely a big client.
Yeah, and we and I couldn't imagine using anybody else at this point.
Can I tell you a funny story that you don't know?
Yes.
So I'm talking to the multifamily group, right? And we're talking about going on to Lightning Docs at the time. Mm-hmm. And I told them, so I love your swag because you guys have the best.
Thank you.
Whenever we're going in our meetings and stuff, and we're talking about logo and iconography and all that kind of stuff, I'm always like, I actually don't want the words to ever be necessary.
Yes.
I want the icon to be so iconic,
Thank
right?
you.
That you can wear it on its own and you're proud to wear it.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
And you guys had that, and I was trying to pitch the work. I'm wearing your T-shirt in it, right? Because it's back at a Zoom meeting, and I'm talking to your multifamily guys, and I told them at the time, I said, I'm just letting you know, I'm just using this because at some point I'm going to get your RTL work, and I'm using you as the medium because I demonstrate that I will show you that we know what we're doing. I will make you so happy with what we're doing here that you will go running to your RTL group saying, hey, we got to bring him in.
I never knew that.
I know.
Yeah, and really that group, I think we did. If we did 10 billion of RTL and DSCR, we did $500 million in multifam. So we never really did a lot.
Correct. And I just saw I knew that was the goal with you all, right? Because I know it was like, look, they're really good in their 1 to 4 family business is unbelievable, right? And so but I know that I can't go in hot on that side of it. But if we can demonstrate that every interaction you have with our organization is a great one, right? It's an inevitability because one side's going to talk to the other, and eventually that's going to come through and says, you know what? Why haven't we checked them out for this product?
Yeah, and I think like I said this to you earlier that it's a backhanded compliment, but I have never in any of our operational meetings in all areas of our business that we try to become better every day, ever had one comment, not one. And we do keep stop starts in our company and look at all different aspects of how we could just be better, stronger, faster. Not one about improving something related to Lightning Dock. So you're doing something fabulous
Thank you.
by lack of the bitching and moaning that comes along with not doing something fabulous. And I also love the name Lightning Docks because when you think about like that part of the transaction is where everything needs to be fast.
Yes.
You need to get to the finish line. And when you think about lightning, you don't think slow. You think like
Yes.
you're moving,
That's
right?
right.
How did you come up with that?
So this is actually a funny story too. So, back in 2014, 2015, when this idea starts, this concept of Lightning Docs, and Lightning Docs in this concept, all it really means is automated loan documents.
Okay.
And back then, we were automating loan documents not because we're thinking of being able to sell to the CV3s of the world. We're thinking of automated loan documents because I'm a practicing lawyer in a law firm, and I've got a bunch of attorneys that I'm working with, and I need to make sure that they don't commit malpractice and sink our business. Right, so we're really
That's
focusing.
scary.
Right, we're focusing on risk mitigation internally, and then it was a flat fee practice, and so as a flat fee practice, we would try to raise fees every year, a little bit on the flat fees, and right around 2015, we just hit a brick wall, and it was the exact opposite momentum. People were saying, no, like you need to actually reduce your fees, right? Because we're getting fee compressed when we're going to closing, and so if Bill's over there and if Bill's able to do his docs and he's not even charging a doc fee, I can't pass through a $1,200 doc fee on the attorney side of it, right? So we're starting to run into all these brick walls, and I go, oh crud! Like every year, our people are going to have to sit there and make more money, right? And I've got the marketplace telling me I've got to bring my fees down.
Jeez.
How do I do this?
That's in conflict.
Right? And so that really started this process of automation. And so at the time, we were sitting there and we knew that we needed a name for what we were doing because we also like, well, at some point it could be a product, but let's just kind of park that there. And there was one of the guys that one of the attorneys in our group, and he was just like, he's like, hey, I found this domain called lightningdocs.com. It's available. And I was like, sure, whatever. Like, because at the time it
Wow.
wasn't even a thought process of this that it would ever become. The initial business plan when I was writing it for Lightning Docs, it was actually what we're going to do is we're going to create this incredibly efficient law firm model, and then we can go knock on all the law firms' doors and say, hey, do you want to learn how to automate documents? Right? We never thought of going directly to the mortgage lenders.
Wow.
It was to go to other law firms and saying, hey, because that was the model, that was the business we were in. We were a law firm, right? Like I was not a software person myself. I was a lawyer who had figured out how to create efficiency within a law firm, and I wanted to be able to add that value. We saw what it was doing for us, and I was like, okay, yeah, well, maybe down the road we'll do that for other law firms once we kind of maximize whatever efficiency we need to do here at our law firm.
When did Lightning Docs get to the point where you go, this actually could be a major part of our business?
Yes. So this is a fun story. I did not want Lightning Docs. And so like Lightning Docs, for the people that don't understand what it is basically it's a website you can go to, and you go in and think of it like LegalZoom for setting up an LLC or TurboTax, right? Tell me information about the transaction. Who's the borrower? Who's the lender? What's the loan amount, right? Based on all the inputs that you've given me, just like a tax return for TurboTax, right? Give me the perfect output. I need to trust what I'm getting on it. So give me the perfect 1040 based on these specific facts that you gave me on the inputs.
That's Lightning Docs?
That's Lightning Docs.
I had no idea. I literally had no idea. I thought you provide loan docs for us. You have some set queries, and here's our DSCR, here's our RTL, here's our RTL. I had no idea.
It's a fact-intensive inquiry. So basically, and just give you an example, right? So what really makes it powerful
That's crazy.
is that it's built, everything that we learned as lawyers is programmed into the code. So let me give you an example of this. Like this is whenever people tell me, well, can I just use templates? And I'm like, well, let me explain to you where your templates just fell apart. And I'll say, hey, Bill, you're here in California. Have you ever made a loan to a person who owns California real estate, but they happen to be Arizona residents, right?
So that goes down a different path.
It does. And so in that situation is in California, when you make a loan and you're making a loan to an LLC, but then you're over here and the actual principal is a resident of Arizona, we're going to get a personal guarantee from them, right? That's what we do in our business. Well, guess what? In California, you don't need the spouse to consent to the guarantee. It's assumed, and it will automatically cover the community property of both spouses, right? That's what California law dictates. But guess what? Arizona doesn't. In Arizona, you need the spouse to consent to the guarantee in order to get the community property, right? So there's these rules.
And as they're going through and answering the questions, it is propping up what the updated legal requirements are for those docs?
The best part of it is you have no idea it's doing a ton of legal analysis
Behind
in
the
the background.
scenes.
It's all the logic that's written in there saying, hey, what if the lender's in New York and the borrower's in California and the property's in Tennessee? Like, what's
That's
the
crazy.
right result, right? Like, it's everything you would process as lawyers written into the coding logic, right? So, and that's why I always say, like, TurboTax is probably the most understandable analogy to what it is because TurboTax is fact intensive. Are you married? Do you have a W-2? Do you have 1099? Like, what are all the facts going into this? Well, great. That's going to determine the right tax return. Well, all the facts of your transaction, is it an RTL where it's just a little bit of a cosmetic fix and flip and you've got a $30,000 holdback? Or in fact, Bill, are we doing a ground up project here and I want assignments of plans of permits and I want all these other things? I don't need to ask all those questions. Rather than what you can tell me is, if you just tell me that the majority of the funds you're holding back in the transaction for a real estate project, I can kind of infer that that's a ground up project and we should have a lot more construction components built into it. That's the right legal result to get us there.
So when someone at our company goes through and answers those questions, how long does it normally take somebody in a standard transaction to fill in the blanks before you can, what is that time? Is it 5 minutes, 15 minutes?
So it depends on the way in which they approach it, right? So if you let's just say you're a standard user of our system and has no form of integration, right? That means you're manually filling out this interview and getting the documents. A really, really good processor, somewhere around 10 minutes. Someone who's done it for the first time, about 30 minutes.
That's unbelievable still.
Well, but that's not fast enough, because how many loans did you do last month?
Like 500.
That's right. And are you going to spend 30 times 500? Absolutely not. So any serious company that does serious volume will always do integrations. In that place, our goal for our largest customers has always been, hey, you actually are using our software and have no idea you're using our software, right?
Are we using it well? I don't know. Could we improve?
No, you guys. I mean,
we're okay.
You guys have an API, because that's the whole premise right now. Is you guys shoot over all your data through an API. The system is handling all of that in the background, sending the documents back to you. So it's actually it's friction is the thing that kills our anything in the mortgage lending world, particularly in the private lending world. It's all about speed of execution, and so your docs have to match that.
Would you ever take that technology and go to the conventional world?
No. Well, actually, never say never.
Never say never.
But I don't. So the interesting thing about where we exist right now and why we exist, right, is we exist for a very specific reason, right? Because what happens in the conventional world? Well, you have agency mortgage loan documentation. You have Fannie Freddie docs. There's a standard. It's great. Everybody can use it. So the way you would compete in that document business is the delivery of those documents can become very efficient. Well, guess what? They're pretty efficient over there. You can use your doc
there's no real value add from your point. Then you get into price and everyone's working for nickels.
That's right.
Okay.
And when you move into business purpose mortgage loan documentation, well, guess what?
There's meat on the bone and people don't mind.
And there's no standard.
Yeah.
It's all proprietary.
Yeah.
You go to your attorney, this guy goes to their attorney. Everybody's going to their own place to try to solve for the problem. And so what we're really actually aiming to do in our space is to be the standard, right? So that, and it's I think really getting to that place, which is, can I help you make sure that all your trading partners, everybody in the secondary goes, oh yeah, it's Lightning Docs, got it. It's a rubber stamp.
Wave it in.
Wave it in.
So you know who the top players are in our space, obviously. You do a monthly report, which, is it a monthly or quarterly?
Monthly.
Yeah, it's great. It's fabulous, by the way.
You.
I think it's the best in class, and I got to sit in on a couple of times with you, and I just love it. But you know the people who aren't using you.
Yes.
So do you have like specific plans on how to go get their business? Are
100%.
you dripping on them? Are you this over that? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
I'm a particularly competitive person.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it's not, I don't think people recognize that in a lot of ways, but
because you're such a nice guy, that it gets lost.
And I don't care. I'm not competitive in the sense, like, I don't need I don't focus on who my competitors are, but like, I want to win. And for me, winning is not like, oh, I beat this business at this thing. I don't care. Like, I don't care what my competitors do one way or another, but like there is nothing, like, I'm a deal junkie. Like, if you can close, right? Like when we got you in the door, right? Like, that was a big day in my life. I know it sounds silly.
No, you got us day one. Like when we opened our doors without
I
having a
remember.
loan in the pipeline,
So
we had made a commitment to work with you guys.
and you and I were on a Zoom. My son walks in the door
Yeah.
behind us.
Yes.
Right? And it was
Yes.
really funny. I don't know if you remember the words in that conversation.
Tell me.
But we're sitting there, and I forgot, it was actually kind of in a similar vein of what we just discussed about competition.
Mm-hmm.
And you were saying is, hey, we're kind of looking at you in a different company, and we're trying to figure this out. And I had told you at the time, and I said, Bill, Matt was the person who I was talking to and pitching on your team.
Matt Flores.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, Matt, I've got a question for you. When I was talking to you about Lightning Docs, did I ever bring up our competitors? And he's like, no. And I said, that was intentional because I don't need to put them down. I just need to tell you what Lightning Docs does. Right? I believe in what we're doing over here. I don't need to talk poorly about anyone
Yeah.
else.
I actually remember the context of that.
And you then in that moment said, that's it, we're going with you.
Yeah. No, I remember the context of that.
And my son was in the background, and you point to him and you go, hey, your dad just made $1 million deal.
He's like, can I get the bike? Can I get the bike? Yeah, it does feel good. It's always awesome to support people love, and trust.
Yeah.
It's an entirely different feeling when those people actually deliver on what it is they're supposed to deliver, which Lightning Docs has done. It's a very important part of our business, and I would, not that that's what this is about, but I would strongly support and endorse. If you're not using Lightning Docs right now, you owe it to yourself to have the conversation and have a demonstration and see if there is a good fit for your organization. I will tell you, I am very difficult to kind of pull over the line, and we went many years without us using it.
That's right.
And I know that organizationally, and we have a whole bunch of folks at our company, everyone's very happy with it. So thank you for that.
Bill, I appreciate that.
So, and it is funny, right? Because I told you early on, like, I thought you guys ran conferences, and I remember like going to these conferences earlier and going, okay, well, you got your head sponsor, and you got these other silver sponsors and gold sponsors and platinum sponsors, and you could do math real quick, and you're looking around, and I'd always say, like, the math isn't working in my head, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you had $25,000 sponsors and 31,000, like, there's too much going on. There's too much being spent. So I was always a little confused. Are they making it on the legal? Are they making it on this? And it has made more sense to me that it was really, and I said it earlier, a mousetrap, an opportunity for you to share commerce and ideas and like a kinship amongst all of the people in our space. And, oh, by the way, I'm really good at this, if you ever want to take a look at it, which happens to be Lightning Docs. Oh, and by the way, we have a pretty decent law firm, too, that knows what the hell we're talking about.
That's exactly right.
It's great. It's fantastic. It's like it's as good as I've ever seen in any business. It is beautifully architected, and not in a way that once you figure it out, you go, oh, they pull the wool over my head. It's just like, no, I get it. Like, I'm giving, I'm contributing. I may not be making any money or breaking even, busting my tail, give. And and really, in our case, CV3 was stood up at the end of 23, and Oldco was in business since early, well, they were in business since 14, but when I was there since 17, and we'd never done a doc together other than the multifamily stuff you were talking about.
That's right.
So it does work. It's a great business story,
You just need to be the first phone call, right? Like, that's the whole purpose of this, is can all roads lead back? Because the road might be closed for now, right? But when those very brief, like it's when you sell, you could be in the tire selling business, right?
Yeah.
Do you need tires today? Probably not. 3% of the population is looking for tires today, right? But guess what? Are you going to need tires at some point? Yeah, absolutely, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just making sure that at all times you're kind of just focusing on can I just build really good reputation? Can I know that people can trust us, that we do what we say we're going to do, right? And kind of build this out and have that manifest in every way, which is, even if it was, hey, can I make sure that we take your phone calls right away, that you're getting good advice, and people know this with me particularly, is when they would call me, and still to this day, like, I'm the world's worst lawyer in this context. Like, I don't know if the last time I sent out an hourly bill, right? Because I don't care. Like, for me, it was very much of look, my job is to demonstrate expertise. And if you want to call me real fast and I can give you that expertise, well, guess what? I'm gonna be the first phone call when you're ready to do some work.
Great approach. I was in Europe. in early September. I went to a wedding in Maine, and then we went to Oktoberfest with a bunch of us from CB3. And I reached out to you. I reached out to you, and I reached out to Anthony. And there was a thing happening in the marketplace which I knew nothing about.
Yeah.
And I'm specifically talking about your separation,
Yeah.
your team separation from Anthony, and who has stayed back with him. And it was very confusing to me. And the thing that stuck with me, which I generally mind my own business and stay out of other people's, is that what the entire entity brought to our space was all so good, with all these different things we've talked about: legal, licensing, lightning docs, conferences, brethren, all of it, that if I could help keep that from getting ruined, I wanted to reach out. Me and Eddie had talked a little bit, and then I had reached out, not really understanding or trying to understand the dynamics, but I know there has been a separation, and I know you guys are working that out legally however you need to.
Okay.
And I have always appreciated kind of the high road you've taken in the conversations that we've had, and that, like, you've given homage. You started with him. You got going with him. You want nothing but the best for Anthony.
Absolutely.
But you guys have made a switch, and the switch corporately is called Fortra.
That's exactly right.
Where did the name come from?
So this is a fun story. So, we knew that we were going to be splitting with Anthony,
Yep.
right? And so obviously we can't continue to use the name Draw CLP. It would make no sense to continue using that name,
Yep.
right? So we had to figure out, like, what do we want to do? And at the time, I was actually going back and forth with some of the people in the office, and I was trying to kind of tailor it more towards this concept of well, we're really lenders counsel, right? Like, can we kind of tie it into that name? And Ruby runs marketing for us, Ruby Boulanger, but she'll be Ruby Keys to me forever. We just celebrated her 10th anniversary with us.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you ever mess up and still call her Ruby Keys?
I almost never call her Ruby Boulanger. I can't look at it right now. I'm having a hard time saying her actual last name.
Kind of rolls off the tongue. Is she a single name person too? We got Nema and Ruby.
It's Ruby.
Okay, I like that.
And so we're talking about, and Ruby comes back with, and right now the problem, if you want to rename a company, you've got to find domains.
Yeah,
and .com domains are like impossible to find right now, right? So so she comes to us and she's like, hey, she comes back with a domain called fortress.law, and I was like, oh, I like that. Right? And I'm like stoked. I'm like ready to start getting, my embroidery going on. Like, oh yeah, we're Fortress, right? And the rest of my partners are like, hey, Nema, you know that other, little thing called Fortress out there? Yeah, we can't do that.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Right? And I'm like, no, they're not going to care. They're like,
they don't care about us. Oh, they care.
Yeah, oh, they care.
Yeah,
they care. And you're not going to do that. And so my dreams are crushed right there. And we're kind of going down the list. And right below that was Fortra. And guess what? fortralaw.com is available. And I was like, it has a similar wordplay, right?
It's got a good ring to it.
Fortress, right? It feels strong, right? And then what I really loved about it, and I think particularly when you think about kind of branching beyond kind of the name of an individual to really moving to a team name, is hey, guess what? Like, we can actually build a unique identity as a business around this and as a company around this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we can feel very proud and be like, hey, like, we're Fortra Law, right?
Yes.
And can all of our people show up every day, go like, I'm not here for, it's not Daghbandan Law, it's not Kim Law, it's not Margarella Law. No, it's Fortra Law, right? Like, it is about a group of individuals working really, really hard on something bigger than themselves.
Yeah, no, I like that. It's really good. And so underneath that umbrella, you do law.
Yes.
You do lightning docs. Still do.
Conferences?
Still?
Yeah, so we do, yeah.
So walk us through that.
So
what is underneath your umbrella?
Yeah, so here's our corporate structure.
Yes, thank you. Everyone gather around. So cool. Thank you, Bill, for that.
Here's the cap tables of each
Yes,
other.
yes, exactly. I'm not asking.
I'll just mess with you.
Maybe.
So we have the Fortra Law side,
Yep.
right? And the Fortra Law side is, it's still, the nice thing about Fortra Law for those that, don't play the insider baseball of understanding this is everything that they kind of understood of draw sale. It's just really Fortra Law. It's all the same people, the same partners, the same terms, like 100% of the team stuck together, which is awesome.
Yep.
And something that we're really proud of, and we're really thankful to them for it.
Yep.
And they're really, if you think about it, like day 0 and day 1 look the same for them. There really is no difference. There's a new name on the door, right? And there's a new email domain, so there's administrative changes, but
Yep.
but the practical realities of the organization didn't change at all.
Same.
Right. So that part of it really stayed. And in the same way, conferences, we're still holding an event. We just had our last event in Newport Beach. We're going to have 2 events next year, just like we normally do. So we're not skipping a beat in what we're doing.
Yep.
I think what we're really focusing in on right now is really kind of let's say, is a doubling down on commitment to the industry and really making sure that we're thoughtful about adding value. Right?
Thank you, Nema. How does someone get a hold of you for, let's say, Lightning Docs?
Yeah. So Lightning Docs is www.lightningdocs.ai.
.ai, not .net, not .com. It's
Yes.
.ai.
And there's more to come on that, Bill. So
Okay,
so
I'm excited
stay
about.
tuned.
I'm excited
Stay
about
tuned.
that. And then what about Fortra?
Fortra is fortralaw.com, which is FORTRA law.com.
Awesome. And I've really enjoyed today. This is fun.
Same.
I consider you a personal friend and a business partner, and appreciate all that you guys do for our space and for CV3.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate
Cheers,
you.
pal.
Cheers.
Every story reminds us that being unconventional isn't just about business. It's about people, purpose, and possibility. At CV3, that's what drives us every day, to think differently, to lead by example, and to help others thrive. Follow us on social at CV3 Financial and see how we're redefining what it means to do things differently in real estate investing and beyond. Go be unconventional.